what is a seam allowance? So we want to know what a seam allowance is and why is it important. Your seam allowance is the distance between the edge of your fabric and your seam. Pretty straightforward. Now, most of the patterns that I give you are a 1/4 inch seam allowance, which is that far. That's a 1/4 inch. So you would put the two pieces together and you would guide them. In my case, I use my presser foot. I have a 1/4 inch presser foot. They tell me not all of them are a 1/4 inch. All of mine are a 1/4 inch. So you may want to measure yours to be sure, but I follow the edge of my fabric with the edge of my presser foot, and that gives me a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So now that we know what a seam allowance is, let's talk about why it's important. Seam allowance is important so that when you cut pattern pieces out and you sew them together, the seams match. So let's say the seam allowance is a 1/4 inch and you make your seam 5/8, which is a little bit larger, then your pieces are going to be smaller than the pattern allotted for. So the pattern is going to tell you the seam allowance, and then it's important that you follow that seam allowance so that all of your pieces will match. I hope that was helpful. My name is Tammy. I'm your favorite sewing teacher, and I would love for you to come sew with me.